Question 12. The interest accrued on $5,500 at 8% for 45 days is what? Well, it'll be 5,500 times 0.08 times 45 over 360, which is $55. So the accrued interest will be $55. Number 13. A company receives a 10% 90-day note for $6,900. The total interest due on maturity date using 360 days, which is a business year, would be 6,900 times 0.10 times 90 over 360, which is $172.50 interest. Number 14. A company borrowed $12,000 by signing a 120-day promissory note at 15% interest. The total interest due on the maturity date is going to be what using 365 days a year? Well, it'll be 12% times 0.15, which is 15% interest, times 120 over 360, which is $600. Number 15, a company borrowed $12,000 by signing a 120-day promissory note at 15%. The maturity value of the note is, it's going to be the principal, which is $12,000, plus the interest, which is $12,000 times 15%, times 120 over 360, and that all comes out to be $600, so it'll be $12,000 plus 600, or $12,600. Number 16. A company has net sales of $2,200,000 and accounts receivable of $440,000. What is the accounts receivable turnover for the period? Well, it'll be net sales divided by average accounts receivable, and that'll be $2,200,000 divided by $440,000, or the accounts receivable turnover will be 5, and 5 means that it's going to be turning over 5 times during this accounting period, and higher is better, and you don't really know whether 5 is good or not until you look at the past results. Also look at other companies in the same industry. Number 17. Company had net sales of $630,000, total sales of $780,000, and average accounts receivable of $76,500. Its accounts receivable turnover is equal to net sales, not total sales, but net sales divided by average accounts receivable, which would be $630,000 worth of net sales divided by $76,500, or their turnover would be 8.24 times. Again, higher is better. Question number 18. The company had total sales of $980,000, net sales of $955,800, and an average accounts receivable of $118,000. Its accounts receivable turnover equals, just like the last one, net sales, not total sales, divided by average accounts receivable, which would be $955,800 divided by $118,000, which the accounts receivable turnover will be 8.1. Number 19. Jasper makes a $86,000 90-day 7% cash loan to Claiborne Company. Jasper's entry to record the transaction should be a debit to notes receivable for $86,000 and a credit to cash for $86,000. Number 20. Jasper makes a $44,000 90-day 6% cash loan to Claiborne Company. The amount of interest that Jasper will collect on the loan will be how much? It'll be $44,000 times 6% times 90 over 360, which is $660 worth of interest. Number 21. Jasper makes a $27,000 90-day 8% cash loan to Claiborne Company. Jasper's entry to record the collection of the note and interest at maturity should be what? Well, we're going to make an entry to reduce the notes receivable, or get rid of it altogether, by crediting it for $27,000. We're also going to get rid of or credit the interest that we've earned. We're going to credit interest revenue for $540. Excuse that typo, there should be one more zero there. So we'll credit interest revenue for $540, And the sum of these two things, the interest that we've earned plus the notes receivable that we now have collected, those two together is how much cash we're going to collect, which will be a debit to cash for $27,540. And excuse my little zero there that's left off. So debit to cash for $27,540, credit to interest revenue for $540, and credit to notes receivable for $27,000. Question number 22. The amount due on the maturity date of a $11,200 90-day 7% notes receivable is, we have to calculate the interest, which is $11,200 times 7% times 90 over 360, which is $196 worth of interest. And the maturity value will be the principal of $11,200 plus the interest of $196 equals $11,396. Number 23. Giorgio Italian Market bought $9,600 worth of merchandise from food suppliers and agreed to sign a 45-day 8% promissory note for the $9,600. Food suppliers' journal entry to record the sale transaction would be a debit to notes receivable for $9,600 and a credit to sales for $9,600. You see, they could have sold it to him cash, which would have been a debit to cash and a credit to sales, or they could have sold it to him on an accounts receivable, which would have been a debit to accounts receivable and a credit to sales. But they chose to not only get this on terms, but they also chose to make 8% interest on the transaction. So that's why we're debiting notes receivable, interest-bearing note, right? $9,600, and we're going to credit sales for $9,600.